Hello students, myself Dr. Muhammad Ahmed. I welcome you all to the 27th lecture of Mathematics 1. Students, in previous few lectures, we have covered Unit 2, and in the last lecture we have completed Unit 2. The last topic we have discussed was finding envelope when two parameters are given, right? When two parameters are connected by a relation, then how to find the envelope. That we have discussed in the last class. Now in today's class we are going to see the revision of Unit 2. So briefly let us discuss all the topics that are there in Unit 2 and what will be the marks weightage for different topics in Unit 2 that we are going to discuss in today's class. So let us start with the first topic of Unit 2, that is Rolle's theorem. So Rolle's theorem is important for one LAQ, right? Maybe like as I told you, in Unit 2 three theorems are there with proof, that is Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's mean value theorem and Cauchy's mean value theorem. Out of these three theorems, definitely one theorem will be asked, like state and prove any of these three theorems. Maybe question may be like state and prove Rolle's theorem, state and prove Cauchy's mean value theorem, or state and prove Lagrange's mean value theorem. That kind of questions will be asked from these three theorems. Let us see the statement of Rolle's theorem. Here we are not going to see the proof. If you want to see the complete proof, you can go you can refer to my first lecture of Unit 2, right? Let us see the statement. Suppose I am having a function f of x which is defined on the open interval a comma b, right? I am having a function f of x which is defined on the closed interval which is defined on closed interval a comma b. I am having a function f of x which is defined on the closed interval a comma b such that it is defined such that f of x is continuous. F of x is continuous on the closed interval a comma b, right? Second condition, that f of x is differentiable on the open interval a comma b, and the third condition is f of a equals to f of b. If these three conditions are satisfied by any function f of x, then there exists at least one point C which belongs to open interval a comma b such that f dash of c equals to 0. That is, if you find the derivative of the function at the point c, then the derivative will be 0. Geometrically, what is the meaning of this? See, let us understand mathematically. F of x is a function which is continuous, which is differentiable on the open interval a comma b, and at the points a and b, the height of the function f is same, that is f of a equals to f of b. Then there exists at least a point c in the open interval. In between a and b there is a point c such that if you find the derivative at that point, the derivative will be 0. Geometrically, the meaning is, I am going to draw the graph of this. Geometrically, what is the meaning? Let us understand. Suppose I am having a curve which is something like this, right? Let this be the function f of x, right? Let this is the point A and this is the point B, right? See, you observe that I am having a function. This height is f of b and this height is f of a. If the function graph is given like this, f of x, such that the heights at the endpoints, that is in the interval a and b, the height of the function at the point a is this and the height of the function at the point b is this. You can observe that f of x is continuous, the graph of the function is continuous, right? Mathematically, you know what is the meaning of continuity. Geometrically, the continuity means the graph of the function should be continuous. Second one is f of x is differentiable, that is the graph of the function should be smooth. it should not be having any edges. F of x is differentiable. Then and also f of a equals to f of b. F of, you see that this height and this height is equal. Then there will be at least a point in between a and b. In between a and b, you can find a point a such that if you draw the tangent, the meaning is if you draw the tangent at that point c, the slope of the tangent, this derivative, what will it, geometrically the derivative means, the derivative is going to give us the slope of tangent at the point c. Means you will be able to find a point c in between a and b such that the slope of the tangent drawn at the point c will be 0. The slope of the tangent drawn at the point c will be 0, or else the slope of the tangent will be parallel to x-axis. So here you can find a point here corresponding to this point c, such that if you draw the tangent here, if you draw a tangent here, the tangent is having slope 0, that is f dash of c equal to 0. At this point the slope of the tangent is 0, or you can observe that this tangent is parallel to x-axis, right? This is what the Rolle's theorem says. Here x-axis and this is y-axis, right? This is the geometrical interpretation of Rolle's theorem. If a function f of x which is defined on the closed interval a comma b and f of x is continuous on closed interval a comma b, f of x is differentiable and f of a equals to f of b, then we will be able to find a point in the open interval a comma b such that the derivative of f at that point will be 0, or the slope of the tangent at that point will be 0, or the tangent is parallel to x-axis, right? This is what the Rolle's theorem. Now, what kind of problems will be asked from this? So, what kind of problems will be asked from Rolle's theorem? First type of problems asked from Rolle's theorem is a function will be given to you, some f of x will be given to you and some interval will be given to you, a comma b, some interval will be given to you. You have to verify Rolle's theorem for this function. Means you have to check, first you have to check that this function f of x satisfies all the three conditions of Rolle's theorem, and then you have to consider f dash of c equals to 0 and find the point c and show that this point c belongs to the open interval a comma b. So these kind of problems are called as verification of Rolle's theorem, right? This kind of problems will be asked from Rolle's theorems, first type of problems. Then second is discuss the applicability of Rolle's theorem. These kind of problems will be asked for 2 marks. Applicability of Rolle's theorem. These are the second type of problems in Rolle's theorem. So first is verification of Rolle's theorem, second is applicability of Rolle's theorem. So what we have to do here, one function f of x will be given to you. You have to, one interval will also be given. You have to check whether the Rolle's theorem is applicable for this function or not. Means, see, Rolle's theorem is applicable only when the conditions that are there, 3 conditions that are there, that are f of x is continuous, f of x is differentiable and f of a equals to f of b. If these 3 conditions are satisfied by this function f of x, then we can say that Rolle's theorem is applicable. If this function fails to satisfy any of these 3 conditions, if f of x fails to satisfy any of these 3 conditions, then we say that Rolle's theorem is not applicable, right? So these are the problems that can be asked from Rolle's theorem, and also the state and prove Rolle's theorem, that can also be asked, right? So this was Rolle's theorem. Next topic in this unit is Lagrange's mean value theorem. Lagrange's mean value theorem. In short, it is written as LMVT, Lagrange's mean value theorem. So the first question in this may be state and prove Lagrange's mean value theorem. So statement we will see. Suppose we are having a function f of x which is defined on the closed interval a comma b, such that first condition it satisfies is f of x is continuous on the closed interval a comma b, f of x is continuous on the closed interval a comma b, and the second condition that f of x satisfies is f of x is differentiable on the open interval a comma b, right? So third condition that is there in the Rolle's theorem, we are not going to consider here, that is f of a equals to f of b, that we are not considering here. Only two conditions, f of x is continuous and f of x is differentiable. Then Lagrange's mean value theorem guarantees that there exists at least a point C in the open interval a comma b such that the derivative of f at that point, the point C is nothing but f of b minus f of a by b minus a, right? This is the mathematical form of Lagrange's mean value theorem. What is the meaning of this? F dash of c is the derivative of f at the point C, f of b the value of function f at the point b, value of the function f at the point a, and b minus a, right? This is the mathematical form. Now what is the geometrical meaning of this? Geometrically, what is the meaning? So let us understand this by a graph. Right, let this is x-axis, this is y-axis. Let we are having a graph something like this. Right, let this function is f of x, and let this is the point A and this is the point B. Then this will be the height f of A and this will be the height f of B. Now you can observe that these heights are not equal. This f of here, f of A is not equal to f of B. The heights are not equal. We have not considered that condition here, but you can see that f of x is defined in the closed interval a comma b, f of x is defined from here to here, and f of x is continuous in the closed interval a comma b. You can see that the graph of the function f of x is continuous, it is not having any discontinuities, and f of x is differentiable, that is f of x should be smooth curve, it is smooth only, right? Then what Lagrange's mean value theorem guarantees? It guarantees that there will be a point C in the open interval a comma b. So we will be able to find a point in the open interval a comma b. So that point will be somewhere here. I'm going to draw somewhere here. That point will be somewhere here. Corresponding to this, we can find a point in the open interval a comma b, which is C, such that geometrically, what is the meaning of this? F dash of C means slope of the tangent at the point C. Let us draw the tangent here. This will be the tangent here. The slope of the tangent at this point will be a little bit, the tangent will be something like this, right? The slope of the tangent drawn at the point C, at the point corresponding to the point C on the curve, the slope of this tangent will be parallel to f of b minus f of a by b minus a. What is this? This is the slope of line joining the points a comma f of a and b comma f of b. You can see that this is the point b comma f of b, and this is the point a comma f of a. This is the point a comma f of a, and this is the point b comma f of b. So if we find this f of b minus f of a by b minus a, then we will get the slope of this line, slope of the line joining these 2 points, right? The line joining a comma f of a and b comma f of b. This formula f of b, that is y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. If we consider this as x1 y1, x2 y2, then y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1 will give us the slope of this line. So the slope of tangent drawn at the point C is equal to the slope of line joining the point a comma f of a and b comma f of b. That is the meaning of this, that is the geometrical meaning of Lagrange's mean value theorem. That is the tangent will be parallel to the line. Instead of tangent is parallel to x-axis like Rolle's theorem, here tangent is parallel to the line joining the points a comma f of a and b comma f of b. This is the geometrical meaning of Lagrange's mean value theorem, right? Geometrical meanings can also be asked, geometrical interpretations can also be asked in examination for 2 marks, right? Next, what kind of problems will be asked from this? So first type of problems that can be asked from this is verification of Lagrange's mean value theorem. Verification of Lagrange's mean value theorem. So what will be given? A function f of x will be given and the interval a comma b will be given. So what we have to do, just we have to first check whether the function f of x is satisfying all the conditions of Lagrange's mean value theorem, that is continuity and differentiability we have to check. Then if it satisfies, then we have to consider this formula f dash of c equal to f of b minus f of a by b minus a. This formula we have to consider and find the value of c, show that this value c lies in the open interval a comma b. If we do this, then we can say that Lagrange's mean value theorem is verified by the given example, function f of x. Second type of problems from this can be asked, discuss the applicability of Lagrange's mean value theorem. The same thing here also, applicability questions, like one function f of x will be given to you and one interval a comma b will be given to you. So what we have to do, whether f of x is continuous or whether f of x is differentiable or not. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we can apply Lagrange's mean value theorem, right? The third type of problems are some inequalities will be given to you. You can see the notes or you can see the lecture related to proving the inequality. We can consider this as proving the inequalities. You can see 2 to 3 problems related to inequalities we have considered in Lagrange's mean value theorem, under Lagrange's mean value theorem. So these are the questions that can be asked from Lagrange's mean value theorem. The next topic we have discussed was Cauchy's mean value theorem. So next topic is Cauchy's mean value theorem. So what is the statement of this theorem? This here also the same thing. State and prove Cauchy's mean value theorem. This kind of question will be asked. So you have to write the statement, you have to remember the statement, and you have to give the proof also. So suppose I am having a function. What is the statement? I am having a function f of x which is defined on the closed interval a comma b, defined on the closed interval a comma b, such that instead of one function we have to consider here two functions. Let f of x and g of x are two functions. F of x and g of x are two functions which are defined on the interval, closed interval a comma b, such that these functions, first condition is these f of x and g of x are continuous. On the closed interval a comma b. The second condition is f of x and g of x are differentiable on the open interval a comma b. Third condition is g dash of x is not equals to 0. Derivative of g at any point x is not equals to 0, and this is true for all x belongs to open interval a comma b. If these three conditions are satisfied by two functions f of x and g of x, then Cauchy's mean value theorem guarantees that there exists a point, there exists at least a point c in the open interval a comma b, such that f dash of c by g dash of c equal to f of b minus f of a by g of b minus g of a. This is what the Cauchy's mean value theorem is. So we are not going to see any geometrical interpretation here, right? And what kind of questions will be asked from this, that we will see. So first one is verification of Cauchy's mean value theorem, right? And the second, applicability of Cauchy's mean value theorem. These two types of questions will be asked. Applicability of Cauchy's mean value theorem. These two types of questions may be asked from Cauchy's mean value theorem, right? So these are the first three topics. Out of these, one LAQ and one SAQ will be 100% covered from these three topics. So Next topic that we have considered in unit 2 is Taylor series. As I told you, Taylor series, this topic is there in second and third unit. Second unit, single variable Taylor series, that is functions will be having only one variable, and in third unit we will see Taylor series for functions of two variables, right? So here in Taylor series we have seen different types of Taylor series, that is three types of Taylor series. Suppose I am having a function f of x which has derivatives of all orders. F of x is having derivatives of all orders. Then the Taylor series of the function f of x in powers of h, in Taylor series in powers of h is given by f of x plus h equals to f of x plus h into f dash of x plus h square by 2 factorial into f double dash of x plus h cube by 3 factorial into f third derivative of x plus so on, right? This is the Taylor series of the function f of x in powers of h, right? The second is in powers of x minus a, or about x equals to a. The question may be asked, find the Taylor series of the function f of x in powers of x minus 1, x minus 2, x plus 1, like that, or in powers of or about x equals to 1, x equals to minus 1, x equals to 2. So we have to use, in that case we have to use the series that I am going to write here. It is given by f of x equals to f of a plus x minus a by 1 factorial into f dash of a plus x minus a whole square by 2 factorial into f double dash of a plus x minus a whole cube by 3 factorial into f third derivative of a plus so on, right? If the question is find the Taylor series of f in powers of h, then you have to use the first series. If the question is find the Taylor series of the function f of x in powers of x minus 1, x minus 2, then you have to use this series in place of a 1, 2, like that. Or if the question is find the Taylor series in powers of x plus a, x plus 1, then a equals to minus 1 we have to consider, right? A equals to minus 1, right? The third type is Maclaurin series. Actually, the Taylor series about the point x equals to 0 is called Maclaurin's series, right? And the Maclaurin series is given by f of x equals to f of 0 plus a will be 0 here. So x by 1 factorial into f dash of 0 plus x minus 1, x square by 2 factorial into f double dash of 0 plus x cube by 3 factorial into f third derivative of 0 plus so on, right? So these are the three different types of Taylor series. In first one is in powers of h, second one is about x equals to a or x minus in powers of x minus a, third one is about x equals to 0 or in powers of x. If the question is find the Taylor series in powers of x, you have to use this series, or Taylor series about x equals to 0 also you have to use this series, right? So these are the three different types of Taylor series we have discussed, and this is important for 2 marks, right? No LAQ question will be asked from this. 2 marks questions will be asked from Taylor series, right? The next topic that we have discussed in unit 2 is curvature and the radius of curvature. So first we will define curvature. Suppose I am having 2 curves, like one curve is something like this, another curve is something like this. So now you observe at this point you observe, right? At this point you observe, let this point be some b, p, and let this curve is c1 and this curve is c2. Now you observe that at this point P, this curve C1 is having more bending compared to this curve C2 at this point P, right? It is having little bit less bending and this curve is having little bit more bending. So curvature is defined to be the measure of, it is defined to be the measure of bending of curves, measure of bending of curves. Right, this is how we define the curvature. It is measure of bending of curves. So here we can say that this curve at the point P is having more curvature compared to this. So curvature of C1 is more than curvature of C2 at the point P, right? Now we will define what is the meaning of and the notation for this curvature is, the notation for the curvature is small k, right? Now we will define the radius of curvature. Then we will see how to find the radius of curvature. First we will define, then we will see the formula for finding radius of curvature, right? So I am going to draw a graph here. Suppose this is xy axis. Let or else we can define this in another way. Let us draw three different curves or two different curves. One curve is something like this and another curve is something like this, right? Now at this point, how do we define the radius of curvature at these points, right? This is the tangent for the curve at this point and this is the tangent right, this is tangent and this is the curve. Consider this as some C2 and this is the curve C1 and this is the tangent. Let this is the point P1 and this is the point P2, right? Now how do we define the radius of curvature at this point P1 and for this curve at the point P2? So it is defined to be the radius of a circle which best approximates the given curve at this point. Means, so we have to draw a circle something like this, or else we will consider some other color, right? I am trying to draw a circle which best approximates the given curve, right? So even the drawings are not proper, but you can understand. So what I have done is I have drawn a circle which best approximates the bending, the curvature at the point P1 and at the point P2 for the curve C2, right? Now whatever the radius we are going to get for this circle is called as radius of curvature. Here also this is the radius of curvature and the notation for radius of curvature is rho, right? So how do we define the radius of curvature? Actually, radius of curvature is nothing but the radius of a circle which best approximates the given curve at the point P. If you want to find the radius of curvature at this point P1, you need to draw a circle which best approximates the given curve, given curvature. Then this radius is going to give you the radius of curvature, right? And the relation between radius of curvature and curvature is they are inversely proportional to each other, because if the radius is less, then the curvature, if the radius is less, then the curvature will be more. If radius is more, then the curvature bending is less. So you can write rho equals to 1 by k. Radius of curvature and curvature are related like this. Now how to find the radius of curvature for different curves, like radius of curvature for Cartesian curve, radius of curvature for parametric curve, radius of curvature for polar curve, all those things we will discuss now. So first out of these is radius of curvature for Cartesian curve. Right, this is the first thing in radius of curvature. Now suppose I am given a curve, let f of x y equals to f of x. y equals to f of x, some function of x is given. Here x and y are directly related. If x and y are directly related, then this form is called as Cartesian curve. This curve is called as Cartesian curve, and the radius of curvature for this curve is given by rho equals to 1 plus y dash square whole power 3 by 2 by y double dash, where what is y dash here? Y dash is given by dy by dx, right? Now next, second is, so what we have to do, what will be given in the question? Question will be like, find the radius of curvature for the curve y equals to some x square or y equals to some 4x square. This kind of curve will be given to you. You have to find y dash, that is dy by dx, and y double dash, that is, what is y double dash here? Y double dash is d square y by dx square. You have to find y dash and y double dash and substitute in this formula and simplify. You will get the radius of curvature. If some point is given, then you have to substitute that point in y dash and y double dash, then substitute in a rho, right? So second one is radius of curvature for parametric curve. So what is the difference between radius of curvature for Cartesian curve and parametric curve? So first we need to know what is the difference between Cartesian curve and parametric curve. Instead of y equals to f of x, here x equals to some function of t and y equals to some function of another function of t will be given. That is, x and y will be related to some other variable t, where t is called as a parameter, right? If this kind of curve is given, this curve is called as parametric curve. Parametric curve, right? If this kind of curve is given, then the formula for finding radius of curvature is x dash square plus y dash square whole power 3 by 2 by x dash y double dash minus y dash x double dash, where what is x dash here? X dash is given by dx by dt and y dash is given by dy by dt. You need to be little bit careful here. Here y dash is nothing but dy by dx, but here y dash is dy by dt, x dash is dx by dt. You have to find x dash, y dash and substitute here. Also you have to find x double dash, y double dash, then you have to substitute here, right? Then you will get the radius of curvature for parametric curve, right? Cartesian curve, parametric curve are completed. Now next, radius of curvature for third one is radius of curvature for polar curve. Right, radius of curvature for polar curve. Now we will see this. Instead of y equals to f of x, if the curve is given this form, that is, let r equals to f of theta in terms of r and theta. If the curve is given in terms of r and theta, then this curve is called as polar curve, right? And the formula for finding radius of curvature when the polar curve is given, the formula for finding radius of curvature is rho equals to r square plus r dash square whole power 3 by 2 by r square plus 2r dash square minus r into r double dash, where what is r dash here? R dash is given by dr by d theta and r double dash is given by second order derivative of r with respect to theta, that is d square r by d theta square, right? This is the formula for finding radius of curvature for polar curve. Next, fourth one is radius of curvature at origin, right? So instead of giving any point, if origin is given, if you are asked to find the radius of curvature at origin, then what you are supposed to do? So radius of curvature at origin, right? See, I will draw the graph here. X axis, y axis. Then here in this case, the curve may pass through origin in three different ways. One is a curve may pass through origin and x-axis, y-axis is the tangent. That is, here tangent is y-axis. Y-axis is the tangent for this curve, right? I will select the second curve. Second curve I will draw now. Suppose the curve is something like this, right? Here x-axis is the tangent, right? I can draw one more curve which passes through origin, but neither x-axis nor y-axis is the tangent. This is neither x-axis nor y-axis. So the curve is passing through origin, but neither x-axis nor y-axis is the tangent. So then what we have to do? In these three different cases, we need to give the formula for finding radius of curvature at origin, right? Suppose I'll consider the first case when x-axis is the tangent. The curve is passing through origin, so we can find the radius of curvature at origin only when the curve passes through origin. No, only when the curve passes through origin, we will be able to find the radius of curvature at the origin. So how to verify that the given curve, whatever the curve is given in the question, that passes through origin? So we have to substitute 0, 0 in that curve, right? If LHS becomes RHS, then we can say that the curve passes through origin. Then second one is how to identify that which tangent, which curve is, which line is tangent to the given curve. What is the tangent at the origin for the given curve? Then how to identify that? What we have to do, from the given equation, we have to equate the lowest degree terms to 0. We have to equate the lowest degree terms to 0. Then whatever the axis, whatever the line we are getting, that line will be the tangent, right? If we are getting x equals to 0, when we equate the lowest degree terms from the equation, if we are getting x equals to 0, then x equals to 0 is which line? See, x equals to 0 is this line, x equals to 0, and y equals to 0 is this line, right? Because the value of y on this line will be 0. On this line, the value of y will be 0. On this line, the value of x will be 0. So x equals to 0 means y-axis is the tangent. Y equals to 0 means x-axis is the tangent. If neither x-axis nor y-axis means, you will not get x equals to 0 or y equals to 0. You will get something else. Then you have to understand that neither x-axis nor y-axis is the tangent, right? This third case. So first case is if x-axis is the tangent, if x-axis is the tangent, then the radius of curvature at the origin 0, 0 is given by limit x goes to 0, y goes to 0, x square by 2y, right? This is the formula for finding radius of curvature when x-axis is the tangent. The second one is when y-axis is the tangent. If y-axis is the tangent, if y-axis is the tangent, then the radius of curvature at the origin 0, 0 is given by limit x goes to 0, y goes to 0, y square by 2x, right? This is the formula for finding radius of curvature when y-axis is the tangent. Third case is neither x-axis nor y-axis is the tangent. Then what we do is we put y equals to px plus qx square by 2 in y equals to f of x, and compare coefficients of x and x square to get p and q. Then radius of curvature rho is given by 1 plus p square whole power 3 by 2 by q. This is the formula for finding radius of curvature when neither x-axis nor y-axis is the tangent. What we have to do in y equals to f of x, we have to put y equals to px plus qx square by 2 and compare the coefficients of x and x square, then you will get the values of p and q. Then the formula for radius of curvature is given by rho equals to 1 plus p square whole power 3 by 2 by q, right? This is the formula. So these are the topics which are there in radius of curvature and radius of curvature. Next, we have seen center of curvature. So what is the meaning of center of curvature? What is the meaning of circle of curvature, and evolute and involute? So these are the topics from which one LAQ will be 100%, one LAQ will be asked. So I'll put center of curvature. Now I am going to draw a diagram from which we are going to define two definitions, center of curvature and circle of curvature. So see the diagram carefully. Suppose this is xy plane. I am having a curve which is something like this, right? Let this curve is having little bit more bending. This is the point P at which the tangent is something like this. This is the point P. Now at the point P, how do we define the radius of curvature? I need to draw a circle which best approximates right. This is the circle. So actually this is curve, no, and this is tangent. Then the radius of curvature will be given by, I need to pick up a point which is center of the circle. This is going to give us the radius of curvature. Then center of curvature is the center of this circle. So center of the circle for which the radius of curvature is found, that center is called as center of curvature, and the notation is x bar comma y bar, right? So here center of curvature is defined to be, or it is given by the formula. How to find the center of curvature? The formula is x bar comma y bar equal to x minus y dash into 1 plus y dash square by y double dash, comma, this is x coordinate, and y coordinate is given by y plus 1 plus y dash square by y double dash, right? So this is the formula for finding center of curvature. Now next, circle of curvature. Circle of curvature, right? So how it is defined? Actually, you first, for finding the circle of curvature, first you need to find circle of curvature is this. Actually, I'll write down here. This circle is called as circle of curvature, and this center is called as center of curvature, right? So how to find the circle of curvature? For finding this equation of circle of curvature, first you have to find the center and the radius. Then center is found by this formula, x bar equals to x minus y dash into 1 plus y dash square by y double dash, y plus 1 plus y dash square by y double dash. This is the formula for finding this center. And the radius of curvature, already you know, 1 plus y dash square whole power 3 by 2 by y double dash. That is the formula for finding radius of curvature when Cartesian curve is given. Then circle of curvature is given by x minus x bar whole square plus y minus y bar whole square, is equal to rho square. This is the formula for finding circle of curvature. X bar and y bar can be found by this formula, and rho can be found by using the radius of curvature formula, right? So these are center of curvature and circle of curvature. So next we will see what is the meaning of evolute and involute, right? So evolute and involute. Okay, let us see evolute and involute. So I need to draw one more diagram here. Suppose this is xy axis and let this is the curve, any given curve, then and let these are the points, this is P0 and this is P1 and let this be some P2, P3 and so on. I will consider one more point here, P4 and so on. Now we can find the radius of curvature. Let this point is the radius of curvature for this curve which is given by C0 and let this point is the radius of curvature, center of curvature, sorry, I can find the center of curvature by using the formula for the points P0, P1 and let this is the point which is center of curvature for P2 given by C2 and let this is the point which is the center of curvature for P3 and let this is the point for center of curvature for P4. That then the radius of curvature is given by this and this. So we can find center of curvatures. Then if after finding all these center of curvatures on the curve, then evaluate is defined to be the locus of all these center of curvatures, that is the line joining all these points. You draw a line which joins all these points, center of curvatures, line joining or meeting or what we can say, which passes through all the center of curvatures, then that is called as evolute. So evolute is defined to be the line, the curve, or we can say it as locus of center of curvatures. Locus of center of curvatures is called as evolute, right? Involute is the curve itself. This curve itself is called as involute and this is called as evolute, right? This is how we define evolute and involute. Now how to find the evolute? Finding evolute. So for finding evolute, first you have to find this x bar which is given by x minus y dash into 1 plus y dash square by y double dash, and also you have to find y bar equals to, this is center of curvature actually, y bar equals to y plus 1 plus y dash square by y double dash. You have to evaluate this x bar and y bar, then eliminate x and y from x bar and y bar. Then the relation obtained between x bar and y bar is called envelope, right? This is how we evaluate or find the envelope. What is the procedure? First you have to evaluate x bar and y bar, then by using the equations obtained you have to eliminate x and y from x bar and y bar, then whatever the result you are getting, that is called as evolute, right? One LAQ will be asked from this evolute topic, right? Evolute, center of curvature and center of circle of curvature. In all these things you have to find x bar and y bar. So these three topics are important for one LAQ, and initially whatever we have discussed, that is Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's mean value theorem and Cauchy's mean value theorem, those three theorems are important for one LAQ. So two LAQs from each unit, one LAQ is from those three topics and the second LAQ is from evolute, involute, circle of curvature and center of curvature, right? The last topic of this unit is envelope of a family of curves. So first we will understand what is the meaning of family of curves. Then we will see the envelope of family of curves. So simply it is defined to be, suppose I am having an equation f of x comma y comma alpha equals to 0. when you keep on changing the value of alpha, that is for different values of alpha. Here what is alpha here? X and y are variables and alpha is parameter. When you change x and keeping alpha fixed, when you change x, you will get one curve, and when you keep on changing alpha, you will get different curves, right? The same shape of curves, you will get different curves, you will get of the same shape, right? For different values of alpha, we get different curves that forms a family of curves, right? So the main thing is parameter here. If you keep on changing the parameter alpha, you will get different curves that forms a family. Now, how do we define the envelope for that family? Right, envelope of a family of curves. So how do you define? It is a line or a curve which touches every member of the family. Every member of the family tangentially, right, which touches every member of the family tangentially. That line or curve is called as envelope. Now, how to find the envelope? Working rule to find. Working rule to find the envelope. So what will be given to us? Suppose let f of x comma y comma alpha. Suppose this is given. Consider that as equation 1. Then differentiate 1 with respect to alpha. Then what we'll get? Dou f by dou alpha, which depends on f of x comma y comma alpha equals to 0. Right? Consider that as second equation. What we are doing? Differentiating 1 with respect to alpha partially. Right? Then we are getting the second equation. Now eliminate alpha from 1 and 2. Then we get the required envelope. Then we get the required envelope. Right? This is the working procedure to find the envelope. Now we have seen that here we have seen only one parameter family of curves. So instead of that, if we are given a 2 parameter family of curves, right, and this envelope topic is important for 2 marks. Sometimes 2 marks questions, very rare times LAQ question will be asked from 1 parameter family of curves. If 2 parameter family is given, then definitely a question will be for 5 marks. So now we will learn how to find the envelope when the given family of curves is having 2 parameters. So let us put the side heading, finding envelope when 2 parameters are connected. When 2 parameters are connected by a relation. Right? How to find the envelope when 2 parameter family of curves is given and those 2 parameters are connected by a relation. That we are going to see. Let the given family of curves is something f of x comma y comma a comma b equals to 0, where the parameters A and B, two parameters are given where the parameters A and B are connected by the relation phi of A comma B equals to 0. Consider this as 2. So what is given here? One two parameter family of curves is given, f of x comma y comma A comma B, where A and B are parameters, and these two parameters A and B are connected by the relation phi of A comma B equals to 0. Consider this as equation 1 and equation 2. So how to find the envelope for this? So what we have to do is differentiate 1 and 2 with respect to A, treating B as a function of A. Right? This is the procedure. What we are doing here, we are differentiating the equation 1 and equation 2 with respect to A. While differentiating, we are treating the function, variable B as a function of A, parameter B as a function of A. Right? Then what we will get? So we have to differentiate f with respect to A. Then also we have to differentiate f with respect to B, because B is a function of A. And also we have to differentiate B, that is dB by dA equals to 0. Consider this as equation 3. Then differentiate the equation 2. What we will get? Dou phi by dou A plus dou phi by dou B, because phi is a function of B and B is a function of A. So that's why first we have to differentiate, according to chain rule, first we have to differentiate phi with respect to A, dou phi by dou A. Then we have to differentiate phi with respect to B, dou phi by dou B, because B is a function of A, so dB by dA equals to 0. Consider this as equation 4. Right? So now what we have to do is, we have to eliminate A, B and dB by dA, right, from equation 1 to equation 4. Then we get the required envelope. So this is the procedure for finding envelope when a two parameter family is given where the parameters A and B are connected by a relation. So these are the topics that we have discussed in unit 2, and in today's class we have seen the complete revision of unit 2. We have seen various topics starting with Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's mean value theorem, Cauchy's mean value theorem. Then we have seen Taylor series. Then we have seen curvature, radius of curvature, center of curvature, circle of curvature. And also we have seen evolute and involute. Then the last topic is envelope for a single parameter family and envelope for two parameters family where the parameters are connected. So these are the topics that we have revised in today's class, and in next class onwards we are going to start unit 3, and when we complete half of the second unit, that is when we complete, so totally 5 units are there. Out of that, after completion of half of the syllabus, that is 2.5 unit, we are going to have internal 1, right? First internal will be after the completion of 2.5 units, and the second internal will be after the completion of 5 units, right? So once we complete 2.5 units, we will be having internal 1, right? So I think your internals will be in the month of February, and we have to complete 2.5 units. So with this class we have completed 2 units thoroughly. We have completed 2 units, and remaining half unit, that is half of the third unit, we have to complete before second internal. So next class onwards we will be starting third unit. I am going to end today's session here. See you in the next class.